Are we going?
We are live.
Okay. So this is the video presentation on the degasification tank that's installed here at our house at 505 Exeter Road in Lebanon. And the reason this tank is here and what differentiates this situation from other situations is it's here because our well produces methane and hydrogen sulfide gas in what are, large quantities. So when we first moved in, the well, and we can do subsequent videos about well location and everything else. There were 5 wells on this property. And eventually, none of them were producing water sufficient to have a house full of 4. So eventually, a well was drilled. The well water comes in through here. And in most houses, your well water will come in, and it'll go into this as your well pressure tank. It's a little dirty, but this is actually brand new. We go through these pretty quick because of the presence of the hydrogen sulfide gas. It's an acid gas, and so it's really tough on metal. But we'll see that earlier or later. So what happens here? So what used to happen is the gas would come in, fill up this tank, and then you have a bomb, and then that that bomb then gets piped out through the house and actually into the hot water heating system where it's superheated. So it was really scary when we bought it, and I was able to light the faucet on fire, which we have on video. I just have to find. So in order to get the gas out, the methane is non-soluble in water, so it wants to be free, and that's what we'll hear the methane come through. But that's what would fill up this tank. So instead of going immediately into this tank from the deep well pump, the deep well pump feeds this degasification tank in here, so the water comes in and enters a spray bar. We have an atomizer that we put in here, which is basically a bar that runs the length of the tank and is filled with holes, and that's to help the hydrogen sulfide gas and methane escape quickly. That gas then is vented through this upper pipe. So as this tank fills, it's naturally pushing the gas out through this pipe, which then runs around here and then out through. I'll show you where it terminates. But this used to be the end of the house. Because the water has the hydrogen sulfide gas in it, that is a really powerful rotten egg smell, and is in super concentrations, really harsh. So when that water comes into the house, and also the well unfortunately has what are long-term chemicals in them, toluene and benzene and other things that are either the result of now obsolete agricultural practices. This had been a farm at one point in time, or the fact that the landfill is down the road, or the fact that we don't know where it's coming from. But that's how the house ended up on a DEP contamination list. The combination of explosive gas, which we'll hear, and the contaminants. Those run through a sediment filter into carbon filters. Neither of which are actually in here right now, but these are just acting as sediment traps. The water that we drink then runs out into what's called a reverse osmosis system, which we took a separate video of me servicing that will supply to you. So let's just we'll do a deep dive on the tank and how it works. But what I'm going to do here is activate the tank. And I'm going to draw water in from the deep well.
Here, let me get on this side of you. So you can see this control panel here, what you're doing.
Yeah, so these are 2 electrodes, and these basically what happens is this tank operates between these 2 levels. Water comes in, fills up until we hit here, then the deep well pump shuts off. The water that sits in this tank then gets pumped out of the tank with this jet pump, which then fills the water pressure tank. And from there, things are pretty normal, except for the decontamination system under the sink for the drinking water.
The RO, reverse osmosis
So
system.
what we're going to listen for here is, well, we're going to be able to, and this thing's been producing gas continuously. So what we're going to listen for, there are many check valves in between here and the well pump. And that's a ball valve. That's to keep the water from running backwards. And this well pump is actually brand new. That died, I think, in 2021. So we've had a new well pump installed. But once again, this is a tough, environment for these systems. So what we're going to hear first is we're going to hear nothing. And then we're going to hear water coming in. And we're going to be able to listen to the, kind of the violence of the system and how it works. So if this was pumping into the house, that would have just filled that tank with gas. Kind of I don't know if you can really hear it coming in. I don't know how well you can hear this. You hear that? You hear that? That's gas.
All explosive gases.
Yeah, you can light that on fire. Okay, and so that's going to fill up in this tank. As this is filling, you're going to kind of see it's getting pumped out. And we could actually look.
Well, now
into
what
it.
happens though with frequently the electrodes?
That's a good question. So these need to be serviced because these are metal as well, and because it's a corrosive environment. Sometimes this won't shut off. If this doesn't shut off, well, hey, I got to service it, but the water will not stop pumping. It will pump in forever, fill the basement. Or what's worse than that, because, it's a dirt basement and it's kind of okay. But what's worse than that is if it fails to fill, then the jet pump runs dry, and will superheat. And we've had that happen a couple of times. This jet pump's been hanging in there pretty good. So anyway, we hear that water coming in. It's gonna shut off. What was I gonna? Oh, do we want to take a look at the spray bar, or?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So you can I can take the top off of this tank.
Here, let me get myself in here. See what happens.
Smelly
I'm strapping anything. There we go.
smelly stuff.
To my knife. Jam it.
You kind of see what's going on in here.
Drop my phone here. That'd be terrible. Ooh, that's disgusting.
Well, those are some bacterial masses, so the sterility has got to be in reality. That's how this works. Right now it's going pretty good. So anyway, that thing's running and it's filling up.
Not fall as I go back here.
So this is kind of a slick system in that, we have this relay here that's going to call for, I'm just going to shut it off right now. But that's going to call for the water. That really, and can you smell that?
Yeah, it stinks. It smells like rotten eggs.
Yeah, so anyway.
So is that the sulfur or methane or what is that?
That's the hydrogen sulfide
Hydrogen-
gas.
ugh, God.
And that'll burn. One
Stinks.
flush of the toilet before this was put in, and you'd have to evacuate the house. That's why the
God.
fire department came, and they actually had shut down the whole street.
Casually killing our brains.
So anyway, yeah. So I can probably
Oh,
just
here,
grab
I can-
the phone, but if you can't see in
Come on
here.
in here.
This is a.
Oh God, it smells so bad I could taste it.
Anyway,
Oh,
so
sorry. Hang on.
yeah, we got this relay system in here, and then so this is how this is wired in. What I'm trying to say here is that this controller is really just activating this relay, and this is the circuit breaker for the deep water pump. Okay. Now, one thing that I should mention. Oh, be careful.
Yep.
Is that
Oh, there we go.
we can kind of see the result of the corrosive hydrogen sulfide gas and kind of what it did to did do to the furnace on the back end.
Oh, and this is the sub pump here that will pump out
if
water
it
when that
does- if it
overflows.
does overflow.
Might not fall here. All right.
But when you come around to the back of the furnace,
Oh, God.
this is where the this used to be the on-demand hot water system, but you can see that this is actually just exploded out.
Hey, let me get a better
Yeah.
angle in here. Like,
Well,
get up under
so,
here for a
so
second.
right now, that's not a concern really, because we're using this hot water heater here. That this one is actually brand new.
Because the furnace
Well,
exploded.
that, and this is the old hot water tank over here. But it's just a really corrosive environment, kind of tough.
Right.
But
Gross.
one other thing that I think that this was kind of a surprise to everybody here. You know, here's where there wasn't any place to put the tank in on the circuit board, but this panel had been put in at some point in time and used to control some, ancient security system they had in here. So this is where we wired in for the well pump. But before doing that, most houses are on 100 amp services. So this looks like, this is the main circuit box. It looks like around 100 amps. But it wasn't caught in the inspection. But upon, I'm even afraid to touch this thing. But
God, stress me out even being here.
in reality, this house is on 60 amps. And so this service has actually got to get upgraded. This is the line power coming in, and you have to flip this switch. I won't do it because it'll shut the whole house off, and then actually manually change those, because it's kind of a scary situation. But
That'd be a dumb way
I
to
just
die.
wanted to mention it as something that we were surprised.
Ooh, is that a snake skin? Ooh.
That kind of has to do with what's going on down here. So anyway, the only reason that it smelled really, really bad for a second is because of the fact that we had opened up this top. Normally, all that bad smell is coming out through here.
Oh, through that white pipe we showed.
We're
I'll
just
show it
going to
again.
go out through this white pipe.
White pipe.
At one point in time, this area here used to be the back of the house. And then in kind of 1935, I think, they tacked on what they call Ernie's Kitchen. We have pictures. You can see this is the wall. And
Oh dear, that looks solid. The bricks stuffed in there.
so here comes. Yeah, this looks like it's from Jerusalem.
Like, come on,
So
man. What is
anyway,
that driftwood?
All right, stop one.
Sorry,
So we
I'll
have
stop
this the pipe.
All right,
This,
the white
this is the continuation of the pipe. And when we moved in, and probably forever, that thing was here.
What is that thing?
I really don't know what it is,
What?
but at some point in time,
Ew.
it had a vented pipe on it, which that comes out.
Oh God. Here, let me come
So
over
the
there.
vented pipe from that comes out over to here,
Spider.
and I plugged into it. It used to be this big.
Oh, that's
metal-
this big rusty
Yeah,
thing.
no, but so I plug into it here,
Okay.
and this is
Vent
where,
the
and
gas?
so then it comes, and it's yeah, you can see this was kind of like an afterthought.
Aside.
But yeah, kind of. But there's the tank anyway.
Mystery tank over yonder. All right.
Is that the source of the toluene? Who knows? This thing, and so then it comes out to here. So,
Oh, geez. How did I never notice this thing?
well, because we don't.
That's
talk
just
about
a
it.
rusty eyesore.
But if we put this, I can to collect a bag, and we can, collect gas. I've done it.
Then light it on fire.
Yeah, but if we wanted to light it on fire, the time to do it would be down in the basement when I first turn it on, and you get that big blast. It was a lot easier to light the faucets up before putting in that degasification tank. So now you can't light the faucets.